Hello, viewer. In this episode, we're heading to the Isle of Skye. Make yourself comfortable. It's going to be interesting. The Isle of Skye is the heart of wild Scotland. Rocky shores, misty mountains, emerald valleys, and waterfalls that look like they've come straight off a postcard. Here, nature speaks louder than words, and every turn in the road reveals a new, breathtaking landscape. It's an incredible place. This time we're traveling by car, not because it's more convenient, but because there's simply no other way to get to the island. But that's actually a good thing. Ahead of us is a road nearly 300 kilometers long. Along the way, stunning scenery, lakes, mountains, wide valleys, and ancient castles. All of it is almost untouched Scottish nature, just as it was centuries ago. I've dreamed of this road trip to Skye since I arrived here in Scotland. That was more than 3 years ago. Now it's time to see the Isle of Skye with my own eyes and share my impressions with you. Let's go. Our first stop on the route is Loch Lmond. From here, there's a beautiful view of Ben Lomond Mountain. If translated literally, Lomond is simply Lake Lomond. In Scotland, the word loch means lake, unlike the more familiar lake in England and the United States. Loch Lomond is the largest lake in Great Britain by surface area. It's about 39 kilometers long, and in some places, it stretches up to 8 kilometers wide. It's so vast that even the mountains on its shores seem gentle and low. I love this lake. Our next stop is Glen Coe. Glen Coe is probably one of the most beautiful places in Scotland. A wide valley surrounded by rugged mountains, it looks both majestic and secluded. The weather changes constantly here. Sunshine, then rain, then a light mist. And that's the special magic of this valley. Every turn of the road reveals a new, almost cinematic landscape. This place is impossible to confuse with any other. It lives its own life, a little wild, a little melancholic, but truly beautiful. Glen Coe often appears in films. Scenes were shot here for Harry Potter, Braveheart, and even Euro 7 Skyfall. The landscapes of this valley look so majestic and wild that they're unforgettable at first glance. The Glen Coe Valley is known not only for its natural beauty, but also for a tragic event, the massacre of 1692. Back then, by the king's order, soldiers slaughtered members of the MacDonald clan, violating ancient laws of hospitality. But let's not dwell on the sad stuff. By this point, it was already clear that, despite the GPS promising a 4-hour trip, we definitely wouldn't make it to Skye that fast. Every few kilometers, new breathtaking views awaited us. The landscapes here are so stunning, it's simply impossible to just drive past. For example, Here's the reason for our next stop, or rather, the heroines of it. The Three Sisters of Glen Coe. These are three majestic peaks famous for their breathtaking beauty and striking scenery. The Three Sisters have become a true symbol of Scotland's natural heritage. There are always a lot of tourists here. Some, like us, stop for 10-20 minutes just to soak in this beauty, and others grab their backpacks and head into the mountains along one of the hiking trails. For those who love hiking, this place will definitely be a favorite. The Three Sisters do have one big downside. They don't fit in the frame no matter how hard I try. We stopped in the town. Is it a town? I think so. We stopped in the town of Glen Coe. Behind us, there's a mountain with an interesting shape, and we have 150 kilometers left to reach the Isle of Skye. Just passing by Ben Nevis, the highest mountain in Great Britain. Its height is 1,145 meters. Don't mind us, it's just the filming process. This is another parking spot with an amazing view where we met two students from London who, just like us, in case you've forgotten, are heading to the Isle of Skye. 80 kilometers to the Isle of Skye. Everything's going smoothly. I promise this is the last landmark on our way to the Isle of Skye. Eilean Donan Castle is one of the most beautiful and recognizable places in Scotland. The castle stands on a small island where three sea lochs meet: Loch Duich, Loch Lmond, and Loch Alsh. Surrounded by calm waters and majestic mountains, the castle looks like something out of a fairy tale, especially in the morning mist or at sunset. The first fortifications on this site appeared in the 10th century. Back then, the castle served as protection against Viking raids and was an important part of the region's defensive system. In 1719, during the Jacobite uprisings, Eilean Donan was destroyed and remained in ruins for almost 2 centuries. Only in the early 20th century was it carefully restored, returning its historical appearance and grandeur. Today, Eilean Donan Castle is not just a museum. It often appears in films, such as Highlander and The World Is Not Enough from the James Bond series. In addition, many people come here to get married or take unforgettable photos against the backdrop of the ancient walls and picturesque landscapes. There are truly so many stunning places in Scotland. By the way, this is the Skye Bridge, the very bridge that connects the mainland to the Isle of Skye. It was built in 1995 and replaced the ferry service, which was previously the only way to get to the island. Initially, the bridge was a toll bridge and the fare was $5.50. But the locals were not happy about it at all. After many protests, the Scottish government bought the bridge from the private company, and in 2004, the toll was abolished. With the construction of the bridge, access to the island significantly improved. Traffic increased by about 20%, and Skye became a magnet for tourists. Right at the foot of the bridge in the village of Kyleakin, we had booked a hostel, one of the most budget-friendly options on the island. In general, Skye is not a cheap place. Not only are hotels more expensive here compared to the rest of Scotland, but during the high season, finding available accommodation is nearly impossible. So, no spontaneous trips to Skye. Make sure to book your accommodation in advance or rent a camper van. That's very popular here. With such incredible nature, it's no surprise that camping and camper van travel are almost a way of life on Skye. So, as you can see, we have a rather modest room for 3 people, although the room actually has 4 beds. The cost of the room is £250 for 3 people for 2 nights, which is about £42 per person per night. The showers and toilets are shared. But just look at this view from the window. Simply beautiful. The hostel also has a kitchen, but it was clearly not enough for all the guests. The kitchen had its own special vibe. In the evenings, the kitchen was absolutely packed. French, Germans, Koreans, and even about 20 geology students from Canada. It was quite lively. It was a fun time after dinner. We decided to take an evening walk around Kyleakin. But honestly, the walk ended almost as soon as it began. We ran into one serious downside of the island. We knew that the main downside of Skye is the weather. Rain, fog, and strong winds are in charge here. But this was something else entirely. They're called midges. These are biting gnats. There are lots of them, and they bite. Their bites itch, and in some cases can cause quite a severe allergic reaction. Yana was still suffering from allergies a couple of weeks after the trip, while I was totally fine. But I still couldn't miss the chance to show you this evening village. It's beautiful, isn't it? The next day we got up early because we planned to drive around the entire island in one day in search of landmarks. Fortunately, we already had a ready-made map with a marked route. It saved us a lot of time. I'll leave the link to the map in the video description. It's time to hit the road. The first stop on our route was the town of Portree, but as often happened, there were some spontaneous stops along the way. Portree is the capital of the Isle of Skye. It's a small coastal town with a population of about 3,000 people, cozily located by the bay and surrounded by green hills. The town is famous for its colorful waterfront houses, a real postcard view and one of the most popular photo spots on the island. It was here that I first witnessed an amazing natural phenomenon: sea mist. This mist followed us throughout the entire journey on the island. In person, it looks absolutely mesmerizing. Let's move on. Just 10 kilometers from Portree is probably the main attraction of the Isle of Skye. See that mountain up ahead? That's the Old Man of Storr, a true symbol of the island. The Old Man of Storr, the Isle of Skye's main landmark. This is an impressive 55-meter-tall basalt rock, all that remains of ancient volcanic formations. Think about it. It's about 280 million years old. Locals simply call it the Old Man. And indeed, if you look from a distance, it seems like a giant figure frozen among the hills. At the base of the rock, there is a convenient parking lot with a cafe and toilets. They've really made an effort here to make it as comfortable as possible for tourists. Honestly, I originally thought we would just drive up to the mountain, film it from afar, and head to the next location. But it turned out there are several hiking trails here that lead to stunning views of the Old Man. Of course, we couldn't miss this opportunity and decided to climb. The trail to the Old Man is one of the most popular hikes on Skye. On average, the round trip takes about 2 hours. The climb is quite manageable, but as is often the case in Scotland, the trail can be slippery after rain, so good hiking boots are a must. The higher you climb, the more breathtaking the views become. The bay, the mountains, the endless expanses of the island. Just look at this beauty. It's incredible. Let me briefly mention, Starting from this location and almost all the way to the last point of our journey around the Isle of Skye, the wind picked up significantly. In some places, it was even extreme. Filming became difficult, and it was nearly impossible to hold the camera steady. As for drone flights, forget about it. So please don't judge the footage too harshly. Skye is a harsh but incredibly beautiful place. Note that on the map, some attractions are marked with stars. These are my personal recommendations. These places impressed us the most. If you have limited time on Skye, try to visit at least the locations marked with stars. While I was talking, you've probably already seen the landscape of our new location, Lealt Falls. It's a great spot to take some beautiful photos, but we didn't stay here for long, because our next destination was one I had seen many times in photos and videos and had always dreamed of seeing with my own eyes. This is the very place where the sea endlessly crashes against a tall cliff known as Kilt Rock. The cliff got its name because its vertical ribbed rock layers resemble the pleats of a Scottish kilt, while the horizontal dark and light stone bands look like tartan patterns, the national fabric of Scotland. We really had no right to complain about the weather because it rains about 90% of the time on the island, and we were lucky, even though it was still overcast and very windy. Because of that, the shots didn't turn out perfect, but the place is truly impressive. By the way, capturing beautiful drone footage here is impossible for two reasons. First, drone flights are prohibited because birds nest in this area. Second, that same strong wind. It's disappointing, but it is what it is. And here you can see the most popular type of transport on the island, a camper van. This is real freedom when traveling through such wild and scenic places. The next attraction is Quirang, a mountain pass on the Isle of Skye. Interestingly, the land here continues to slowly move, so the road through the pass is constantly being repaired. It's as if the ground refuses to stay in place. To be honest, it's not that impressive from below. The real magic happens when you climb closer to the peaks, and the view from up there looks something like this. But we didn't have the time or energy to go on a second mountain hike in one day. By the way, from this point on, the road becomes very narrow, and it can be quite difficult and even dangerous to pass oncoming cars. Yes, there are plenty of passing bays along the road, but when a third car tries to squeeze in, things can get really intense on this mountain serpentine. However, I must highlight that on the Isle of Skye, you can drive on paved roads to practically any, even the most remote attraction. Moreover, there are convenient parking areas everywhere for tourists. Everything is very well organized. And now, Fairy Glen, also known as the Fairy Valley. Here the land twists into strange spirals around hills, stone circles, and green terraces. It all looks as though someone intentionally sculpted it, and I'm more than sure they did. Honestly, this location didn't impress me much. The road here was long and difficult, and in the end, we just arrived at what felt like a pretty park. Well, we're heading to the final point on our map while continuing to enjoy the local landscapes. Neist Point Lighthouse, a lighthouse at the edge of the world. It stands at the very western edge of the Isle of Skye, where the wind blows with such force that it feels like it could knock you off your feet. I stand by every word I said. The wind was so strong that sometimes it felt like it could throw you into the sea. Because of this, and because it was already getting late, we decided not to walk all the way to the lighthouse. The path there is narrow, with a steep descent and then a climb back up. The entire round trip takes about an hour. The wind and the late hour made us give up on that idea, so we didn't get to see the lighthouse itself. Although now I realize that if I had gone just a little further, I probably would have seen it. But it's okay. We really like this place anyway. Just look at these cliffs. This was our final stop on our journey around the island. Of course, this is just a small part of what you can see on the Isle of Skye. It's simply impossible to cover everything in one day, even at a relaxed pace. Would I like to return to the Isle of Skye? Definitely yes. Would Yana like to return? Definitely not. Only if she had a beekeeper suit. That's the only way she could protect herself from those annoying midges. That's the Isle of Skye for you. The next morning, we headed back. But unlike typical trips, we didn't have time to replay the stunning sights we had seen in our minds, because new incredible landscapes of Scotland were already waiting for us ahead. I hope you enjoyed our road trip around the Isle of Skye. Thank you for traveling with us.